BJP leader K.S. Ishwarappa booked for making hate speech during protest against the arrest of Chinmoy Krishnadas. Three people dead, over 20 hospitalized after consuming contaminated water in Chennai. The NIA searches multiple locations across Tamil Nadu and Karnataka to probe Praveen Nitharu murder case. Malayalam actor Siddiq, arrested in the rape case, gets bail. The Supreme Court orders the two warring factions in Oriental Syrian Orthodox Church in Kerala to share amongst themselves all the properties until a solution to the dispute is found. And now let's tell you what are the stories today on the South Indian. Coming up first on your screens right away, 5 new mothers die in Ballari. In a span of 24 days, suspicions raised over the quality of Ringer's Lactate IV fluid. They are back. Killer potholes reappear in Bengaluru. Over 15,000 complaints fielded over 8 months. And Pushpa 2 creates history at the box office, records a massive opening of 175 crores on day 1. This is most unfortunate, and in this day and age, this is something that none of us are able to digest. 5 new mothers die in Ballari in Karnataka. You know, any country which cannot save its maternal health, cannot take care of it, is actually a failure. The maternal deaths in Ballari can only be described, therefore, in one word: unnecessarily tragic. From 9th of November to 11th of November, a sudden spurt in maternal deaths was reported from Ballari District Hospital, reported to have occurred following caesarean sections conducted on these 3 days at the maternity operation theatre in the hospital. Today, the toll has gone up to 5, so within 24 days, as it were. What a short duration and so many deaths. The women who underwent a caesarean section and developed multi-organ failure, this was the last woman. She died around 8 p.m. on Thursday. The reason given so far has been substandard batches of Ringer's Lactate, that is RL IV fluid, which is supplied to the government hospitals, apparently by West Bengal-based company Pushpa Pharmaceutical Limited. Let me also add here that while the link to Ringer Lactate is still unconfirmed, the use of the solution sourced from Pushpa Pharmaceutical Limited has been suspended and now is being tested. Last week, Chief Minister Siddaramaiah ordered the suspension of drugs controller Dr. S. Umesh and the prosecution of Pushpa Pharmaceuticals, a West Bengal company whose Ringer's Lactate is now suspected to have caused the maternal deaths and the tragedy. Health Minister of Karnataka, Dinesh Gundurao, took the onus of the deaths and offered to resign. Listen into what he had to say.
ಆಯಿತು, ನನ್ನ ತಪ್ಪಾಗಿದೆ. ನಾನು ರಾಜೀನಾಮೆ ಕೊಡೋಕೆ ರೆಡಿ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ನಮ್ದೇನು ಅದರಲ್ಲೇನು ತಕರಾರಿಲ್ಲ. ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ಇದು ಯಾವುದೊಬ್ಬ ಪ್ರತಿಷ್ಠೆ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಅಧಿಕಾರದ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಅಲ್ಲ. ಇದು ಜನರ ಒಂದು ಬದುಕು, ಜನರ ಜೀವದ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ. ಮತ್ತು ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ನಾವು ಏನು ತನಿಖೆಯನ್ನು ಈಗ ಭಾಳ ಮುಂದುವರಿಸಿದ್ದೇವೆ. ಆ ಕಂಪನಿಯಿಂದ ಯಾರು ಸಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅದ್ರ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ತಪಾಸಣೆಗಳು ಕೂಡ ಮಾಡಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಅವ್ರ ಬ್ಯಾಚಸನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ತಪಾಸಣೆ ಮಾಡಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಮತ್ತು ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಅವತ್ತಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಆ ಕಂಪನಿ ಸರಬರಾಜು ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಎಲ್ಲ ಔಷಧಿಗಳನ್ನು ಇದು ಬಿಟ್ಟು, ಏನು IV ಫ್ಲೂಯಿಡ್ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಬೇರೆದು ಕೂಡ ಏನೇನು ಸಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡಿದೆ ಎಲ್ಲವನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ನಾವು ಈಗ ವಿತ್ಹೋಲ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಅವ್ರ ಮೇಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಕಾನೂನು ಕ್ರಮ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಕೂಡ ಈಗ ನಮ್ಮವರೆಲ್ಲ ಇನ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅವರ ಫೆಸಿಲಿಟಿನ.
Even as the Karnataka government has announced a compensation of 2 lakh rupees for each victim's family, the opposition BJP has now complained to the Lokayukta to investigate deep into the case and blamed the ruling Congress of dereliction of duty. Like I said initially, The deaths of these young women are purely unnecessary. And if care had been taken to check the defective IV fluids, then those women would have been alive today. Maternal deaths in this day and age is a huge shame. I'm sticking my neck out and saying it. India has fought against it for decades now. And today we're talking about world-class health services and we're talking about Karnataka, and this is what goes on. Let me go to the guest straight away. Dr. Hema Divakar, Medical Director, Divakar Specialty Hospital, Karnataka, and Division Director, Women Healthcare International. She's joining us. Satya Prakash, spokesperson for the KPCC, and Dr. Lakshmi Ashwin Gowda, who's spokesperson for the BJP. All of them are here. I can't say it's a warm welcome. I really feel very sad. But anyway, hello. Thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast. Dr. Divakar, I decided to get a doctor only to understand the significance of this. One has read about maternal, mortality for years now, and how we've come a long way, in trying to save lives. There was a time when women who could not give birth naturally in villages would die because there was no option for a cesarean. But today, cesarean has become a much rather, should I add the word preferred, option for women across. Dr. Divakar, what is this Ringer's lactate? What is this IV fluid thing? What does it do for a woman who's just given birth? And does the lactate word mean breastfeeding? Please explain it to the viewers.
Namaste, Sudhaji. Thank you for inviting me on this show. And of course, when the news came in, it appeared unexplained and it was unfortunate and also, something that is unpardonable. All those now are behind us, and we have today zeroed down on somewhat explainable causes. In the news item, you just said 20 people contaminated water and they lost their lives. So something that happens to a bunch of women, to a series of events, which is unexpected, because as you said, C-section may be much, much more common than ever before. That means many women are undergoing C-section, but each woman's pregnancy and the delivery process is different. Having said that, a whole bunch at one institute should not be sequentially dying with this. When the causes are undetermined, it points towards something in common, something that is wrong in this sequence. And what could that be? So two major causes of maternal deaths, which we have to proudly say we have somewhat managed to conquer, is bleeding after birth and the high blood pressure, due to which many women would die. That is now receding in the background. The new emerging cause is the sepsis. Okay, infection-bound sepsis, major organ failure. That's the kind of medical reports that we have got. Once the sepsis gets into your body, all the major organ, it's not cesarean, is something in the abdomen and the uterus, but this is an infection which has caused multiple major organ damages. For example, the last death was due to kidney failure. That means the heart, the kidney, the liver, the lungs, everything is affected. And how can that happen? Medically speaking, if there is a gross uncontrolled infection running in your body, okay, then all the organs are fired and it's very, very difficult to get them out in this era. Especially, what do you do for infection? One is infection control. The operation theatre should have a asepsis and a sterile, which again, everybody is paying a lot of attention after the COVID time. Personally, and in the infrastructure, the infection control is high on everybody's radar. But once the infection seeps into your body, you can only give the antibiotics. And what is the situation of an antibiotic today? Antibiotic resistance has become the prime killer. You can higher in antibiotics, one behind the other, but there is no response. And finally, the patient succumbs. And how did this infection happen in this bunch of people? If we have to answer that, there are many things that have to be probed. Where is the source of infection, which can go into one woman, the next woman, the next and the next and the next 5 so far. Okay. And the commonest zero down situation, which has been brought to everybody's notice, probably the IV line which was given. And IV said the disposable plastics are there, that is a one use and throw. Right. So that is not the thing. In the solution, if there is a contamination, if there is, sometimes, always the staff nurses check the solution. Very, very occasionally there's some particle, some fungal type of thing, they just discard it. if nothing is seen.
But it's not the job of the doctors or the nurses, right? It's about the supplier and someone who was buying this.
Exactly.
There is no dereliction of duty on the part, on the part of the nurses, or we have to clarify that,
No, sometimes, that's why I said, everybody checks, like how we check for blood transfusion, like that we check the grossly the IV bottles. If there is a gross obvious contamination, obviously we will discard it. But if there's nothing that is seen and business as usual,
all right, let me come, Dr.
And you
Hema.
give the IV fluid.
Dr.
Right?
Hema, I'll come back to you. Dr. Hema, I'll come back to you because I also want to know why this is given, but let me also introduce other guests. Satyaprakash ji, what is this? This is obviously a shame, a terrible shame for no fault of theirs. Childbirth is the easiest thing. Talking to a woman who's had 2 C-sections. Easiest possible thing. You are healthy, you go, you give birth. This is such a shame, sir. And Karnataka, which talks about great healthcare system, let me read out something to you, Satya. Earlier, all 192 batches supplied by the said company were temporarily frozen by KSM, SCL, even though only 2 batches were declared not of standard quality this year by the Drugs Control Department. All I am trying to ask you, Satya ji, is that someone made a big mistake by not checking this from that Bongo pharmaceutical company in West Bengal.
Hi, Sudha. I'm not here to do any politics. I'm here to talk, what Hema said. Dr. Hema said a very valid point, that there are a lot of checkpoints, especially in drugs. Since I also did my, initial stage, I was with pharma companies. There is a chance that few contamination will happen. That is why the nurses check, especially the IV fluids. IV fluids are very, very, they need very, it's very tender, because and whenever we give any medicine IV, good thing also spreads faster, bad things also spread faster. That is the problem with IV fluids.
Do due diligence, Satya. Someone did not do due diligence, Satya.
Our health minister has said.
Yeah, health minister has said, I will resign. No, he can't hear me or what? I know the health minister has said that he will resign. He's taken the onus of it. But the point is, someone did not do due diligence, Satyaprakash ji. I'm saying, you're saying good things happen? Of course, it revives life, IV. It revives lives. But the point is that here someone did not do due diligence. It cannot, it's not such a casual thing. I bought 10 bananas, 5 were rotten, 5 were good, I ate the good ones. This is, they are dead. Those children are orphans today, Satya. There is some problem.
That is why the Secretary of the Health Department, Family and Health Welfare has written to the drugs controller. Am I not audible?
Now you are audible. बीच में चला जाता है, Satya.
Am I not audible?
Network issue na, Satya.
Hello.
Let me come. Can someone fix Satya's? I'll go to Dr. Lakshmi Ashwin Gowda. Dr. Gowda, this is such a shock, really. He says that I know. I'm not here. None of us are here trying to apportion blame or say, okay, you did it, I did it. The thing is, 5 women are dead. Their newborns are there without a mother. I don't know who's going to breastfeed them. You see, I'm a mother. I know exactly the problems that the families are going to face now. This seems very clearly like dereliction of duty, negligence to the core of 100% because we've lost lives. Very simple. If it was a common cold, cough, rash, it's okay. But these women are dead, and healthy women, young women, and of multi-organ failures, Dr. Gowda.
Thank you, Sudhama. It's quite appalling and farcical that we often promote institutional deliveries just to reduce the maternal mortality rate. We often say to reduce maternal mortality rate, institutional delivery should happen. In contrast to that, maternal deaths have happened in the institutions, renowned institutions like Vijayanagar Institution of Medical Sciences under the callous Congress dispensation. It shows the callous nature of the government and also the dilapidated condition of that setup, the governmental setup, that maternal mortality has occurred. Might be because of acute kidney disease or multiple organ failure. multiple organ failure occurs, as the doctor rightly has pointed out, because of sepsis in the operational theater or neglected post-operational care. That has been, we cannot completely rule out the human errors in that. The government has really failed out to point out where was the problem really lies in. But it is quite appalling and farcical, as I've already told you. This shows the dilapidated state of the conditions of the hospitals, the government-run hospitals. The maternal mortality rate was 84 and it has been grossly reduced, drastically reduced to 69 very recently. Now it is shame, such a shame on the Karnataka dispensation that
I don't understand the casual attitude. Dito ye hota hai. It is, I'm sorry, I don't accept this at all, whether it's Satya Prakash or anyone else. You can't possibly, I agree with Dr. Gowda, you can't take it so lightly, because like I said, if it had just been a common cold, it's okay. But, let's understand, Dr. Divakar, let me come to you. Dr. Divakar, first of all, the first question I asked you was, why is this used for women? Can you explain that?
Okay, yeah. No, nobody is taking this casually, Sudha. We are all very hurt, especially in our branch, because all women are typically young. Even one death means, we are grossly disturbed for months together or, throughout our life. Why is this given? Because any operative delivery, it's not mandated in a normal delivery, but any operative delivery, prior to the anesthesia itself, we have to start infuse an IV fluid. There are 3-4, different options given, and sometimes in combination also we give. So that is for hydration, and the women typically for a few hours, at least 12 hours, she is not given anything orally. 4 hours before the surgery and 6 to 8 hours after the surgery. So she needs the calories, she needs the energy, she needs the hydration. So an IV fluid which is administered to a case of cesarean is a must. There is no, there is no option for it. That is something that everybody has to do routinely. So that is why it is given. And typically the second day when the mother starts eating, starting with liquids to light diet, and then we withdraw the IV fluids and also her urine output, everything. There's no other complication. Then it's time to stop the IV fluids and get on with the normal diet. And as you said, the breastfeeding, within 1 hour she has to breastfeed. That's the...
Divakar, okay, fine. I understood why she's given. Dr. Divakar, on Wednesday, this is a news report from News9. On Wednesday, during a meeting at the Vikasa Sauda, officials revealed that the State Drug Control Department had detected 22 batches of IV solution from the company that failed to meet several safety parameters. Why is there always a post-mortem? Why do we sit and think about it later? Wednesday was day before, today is Friday. By then, there were 4 women already dead. Why is it that it's only done later? Why is it that there should be any negligence whatsoever? I understand a terminal illness, not that I'm happy about it.
None of us are, Sudha. The thing is that quality control is to be in the center stage of the delivery of healthcare. Okay, no matter what, the quality of anything that you supply, inclusive of the drugs and the injectables and any other thing that comes into the medical field, it should be driven by quality, and therefore certain quality standards are mandated both for the manufacturing before they get their licensing, and every batch, sometimes the sample batches are taken for a surprise quality check. Sometimes every batch regularly goes through the quality check, and this has to be done. There is no two ways about it.
So someone failed to check the quality at the hospital. Yeah. Very clearly.
So there has to be a rigorous methodology in which this quality check has to be driven.
There has to be Dr. Divakar, very well explained by you. I guess it's not a rigorous is something which is now hindsight. There has to be a rigorous investigation and a rigorous punishment. I'm calling for it. I'm calling out to all these people, because with the death of these 5 women, there are at least 15 or 20 or 25 or 30 people in the family who've been impacted, and for generations. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, it is not a few years. These children grow up and they say, I grew up without a mother. And that then carries on, that we grew up without a grandmother. And without a mother, it is really tough for any family to manage. This dereliction of duty has taken away mothers from little babies who are supposed to be suckled right now. Let me go to now Satya Prakash ji. Satya Prakash, I hope your connection is now restored. Satya, you know, like you were in pharma, you say, and you are not here to do politics. I really appreciate that. Also what Dr. Hema Divakar said, someone then at the hospital did not take care to check very clearly, was negligent.
See, normally what happens, Sudha, am I audible first of all?
Yeah, now you are, Satya.
Am I audible?
Yes, Satya.
So, see, normally what happens, quality control is done in two phases. One at the manufacturing place. In the hospital phase, you know, doctor is saying that the quality check happens in the hospital. But my experience is ultimate quality check, what the nurses do is, in the IV bottle, they turn it and see if there are any particles there, residual particles are there. If no residual particles are there, they give the IV. I don't know. No, she is a better judge. I am not an authority over that. But that is what I have seen, you know, where nurses or the doctors have a check. If there are some particles, residual particles are there, they put that out. Okay, but if there is no residual particles, I doubt if at the hospital end they can do any quality check. So most of the quality check should be done at the manufacturer's place, point number one, or the drug controller who are from Karnataka or at West Bengal should do random checks at the manufacturer's place or take samples and do the checks. So if both there are some lacuna which has happened, then the concerned authorities should be taken to task. No doubt about that. Today it is a case of 5 mothers. Tomorrow it can become 50. Tomorrow it can become 100.
Absolutely, Satya. But
so
all this, but these checks and balances.
Yes,
Satya. But all these checks and balances also sound very random. Yahan kar lo, nahi to wahan kar lo. There has to be a system in place. There has to be very strict adherence, like it's in the West. If this happened in the West, God, everyone will be sued, and like how. I'm taking a break right now, but after the break, we come back to the deaths, the horrific maternal deaths in Ballari. See you on the other side.
In the fight against child rape and murder, the police plays a crucial role. Their involvement is both proactive and reactive. It includes interventions at the prevention levels and investigation levels as well. Since the Nirbhaya case in 2012, which led to tougher laws against rape, little appears to have changed. But stopping crime against women cannot be left to the police alone.
This and more. Streaming on News9 plus news is now content. Subscribe and get free vouchers.
Film and entertainment is definitely one of the levers for any country to build its brand.
We are getting global. I feel that we're just on the takeoff.
More and more films are becoming language agnostic.
Content is a universal language.
There's one audience in the world.
Absolutely. End of the day, we all are like brothers who have mutual respect for each other from a different land.
The horrific and the terrible piece of news which has come from Karnataka in Ballari. 5 new mothers die. Their deaths in Ballari due to only and only negligence. Dr. Lakshmi Ashwin Gowda, spokesperson for the BJP. Dr. Gowda, I do appreciate what Satya Prakash ji said, that he doesn't want to, he's not playing politics today. And he's very, very, it's nice, because this is not a topic on which anyone should play politics. But, I don't agree to his method that, the onus of checking he says it's not on the hospital, maybe it should be on the manufacturer, maybe it should be. Don't you think there's a bit of confusion there, Dr. Lakshmi Ashwin Gowda? Don't you think we need a system which is absolutely foolproof, so that there are no mistakes, there is no error of judgment in the future ever, Dr. Gowda?
Madam, we are not very sure that the deaths might have happened mainly because of Ringer's lactate. They have probably died of acute renal failure or multiple organ failure. That would occur in case of any sepsis that has occurred during unhygienic operational theatre, and as I've already told you, neglected post-operational care. Here, human errors are also involved, and we are not very sure as to what has really happened. But as a doctor, as I've seen in government institutions, they are so much dilapidated. They have so starting realities. They're so much unhygienic. Most of the times, they often fail to cater to the needs of the poor patients. That would often take the lives of like this. And it is the comprehensive changes should actually occur, and the more and more a fund should be allocated to revamp and rejuvenate the most dilapidated government hospitals, and there should be increase in the manpower, both the doctors and also the pharmaceutical and also the non-clinical and the clinical staff. That would actually serve the purpose. And maintaining utmost hygiene, utmost asepsis in operational theatre is the need of the hour. Since they have died of multiple organ failure, the point is mainly on the septic nature of the operational theatre and the unhygienic conditions in the government-run hospitals. They should give more and more funds.
But the point is, you're talking about overall, and this is a point of topic in Kolkata, where the doctor's horrific rape happened. They say we need more staff, we need more safety, we need more measures. I don't know, most of the governments get deaf whenever these things come. They will only use doctors like they use most professionals, and then their job is done, they will go away. It has happened in Chennai also, where an oncologist was stabbed. They are also saying, give us more people, increase security. What has happened? Nothing will happen. Nothing will. Dr. Hema Divakar, now what has happened is that all Ringer lactate has been stopped, at least in Ballari, and I'm also hearing in many parts of Karnataka. Does that help, doctor? Do you think that that is the reason?
So I would rather agree with Dr. Gowda, who said, I'm coming to the point that quality should be in the center and all the way along. The manufacturing quality and the checks at that level, the supply chain, the storage, the infusion, the quality of sepsis care in the theatre, post-operative, they may have given some more drugs and injectables. All that needs to be studied, because there may be a common antibiotic which is also sourced from some company like this, which may also be contaminated, for all you know. And any source of entry of infection, ultimately we know the cause of death, but working backwards, the checks have to be done at multiple levels. And what Satya alluded to, the staff can only see if it is an IV fluid, they can only see it grossly. But that IV fluid, the manufacturing company should have a quality certificate. Surprise checks, as I said, are done with a different methodology which cannot be seen by naked eye. So all the way through, unless you focus on quality, there is no point in
Divakar, I've seen, doctor, I've seen the way you guys work 48 hours non-stop. I've seen the way you guys work in OPDs in government hospitals. You don't go home, you don't eat. You think at every check and balances, can you imagine the kind of manpower which is required? I'm just asking you that in this case, doctor, what you're saying is a very ideal situation. I agree. It's a wonderful. Impossible to do.
It's a basic necessity, Sudhaji, because it's a different.
You will wait, Dr. Divakar. Dr. Divakar, you've grown up in this country. You're a doctor.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
I'm a journalist. I don't think it's going to happen.
It is possible. because somebody in charge of the OT looks after the OT, somebody in charge of the manufacturing looks after. So it's a different levels.
Now,
We
this
cannot
ringer
do this.
lactate, all the ringer lactates have been stopped in Ballari. You think it's a good idea? I mean, how do they substitute this now? I mean, if I have to undergo C-section, then how do you hydrate me?
No. There are several other companies, and all of us are not devoid of ringer lactate or any other IV fluids. It's very much in common use. See, we should not be diffident saying that it's not possible in our country. It's a huge country. There's a huge manpower that is required at different levels.
Yeah, so
and
let's
if
ask,
we
yeah.
focus on quality, it's not a rocket science. It is feasible. It's doable, but the intent should do. And the rigorousness with which we must do, no compromises to be made. As
I'm sounding cynical.
When we had got into this, the whole factory was closed. That is the kind of action that they take. But should be
but
here also.
But we also have a Bhopal gas tragedy in this country way back in the 80s. The point is that I do agree with you, Hema, that this is a very idealistic situation. But will it happen? Satya Prakash, do you think state governments and the central governments can afford so much of a manpower to kind of have checks and balances at each place? Satya, let's be realistic. Where is the budget? Where are the people? Satya Prakash?
Unfortunately, by the time you come, my network goes for a path. Okay, so when the network is good, you're going to the other guests. Am I audible, first of all?
Yes.
Am I audible?
Yes, Satya, go ahead.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Hello? Yeah. See, look, two doctors are there. I am not a doctor. I was just in the pharma industry for a brief while after my post-graduation. Once a medicine is packed, you tell me at the hospital or inside the maternity ward where cesarean is happening, what can the doctors, what sort of checks they can do? Only checks that are possible is at the manufacturer's place where the license, they are supposed to send continuous samples to the drugs department, point number one. Second thing, what the local drug inspectors and the local drug the generals can do is go to the hospitals, pick up random samples and send it for tests. That's all. You tell me two doctors are sitting. What else can the doctor do? Maximum they will do in an IV fluid is they will look at if some particles are there. If it is the solid, the liquid is clear, they will go ahead, because all the drugs are supposed to be of prime quality before they reach the hospital. At the hospital, you can't do the checks, isn't it? Hospital is not meant to do the checks. Hospital is meant to administer whatever drugs are required.
So right. Okay, I accept. Yeah, I agree.
The doctor spend time in checking it.
Maybe
I have my own doubts. There are two doctors sitting there. Let them answer about it.
How about cancelling the license of this Poshchim, Bongo, whatever pharmaceutical, because the buck stops there then? Why did they send this spurious or rather, infected
Absolutely.
IV? The license should be cancelled. They should be asked to go home. Their factories should be shut. They should be paying compensation to the families. 2 lakhs per family is what Siddaramaiah has given. Let them pay. Who's going to bring those women back, sir?
Absolutely. I am with you, Sudha. But what I am saying is I am being more sympathetic to those government doctors. Always don't think the government hospitals are very bad. I had my surgery in government hospital, Victoria. Beautiful. Fantastic. So not all hospitals are bad. Here some aberration has happened. Let us take it in the right spirit. Okay? And let us find out a probe is on. If the probe says
before I finish, let me explain. I'm not blaming government hospitals. I'm a product. I was born in a government hospital. My children were born in a government hospital. Second, it's not an aberration, Satya. It's a tragedy.
Absolutely.
It's murder. It's not an aberration. No one is taking it lightly. The buck stops. The buck needs. I'm not blaming any doctors here. I said very clearly that no doctors and medical staff. I'm not apportioning blame, but it has to be taken extremely seriously. The West is successful because they take it very seriously.
Lakhs and lakhs of IV fluids would have gone in government hospitals. Lakhs and lakhs.
All right. On that note, I think this is not.
Across the nation,
it's not routine, and I think it's a serious tragedy. And I hope that by tomorrow, day after, thorough investigation, like Dr. Gowda said, is, we find out the real reasons, that is this just an eyewash or there is more to it than meets the eye. We have to find out, get some answers, at least as a tribute for all these women who lost their lives only because they chose to be mothers. What a huge, big, ugly tragedy this is. Dr. Hema Divakar, thank you very much for joining us. Also, Dr. Gowda, thank you so much. It was a pleasure. And Satya Prakash, I really appreciate today you said you shall not play politics. Thank you very much. I salute you for what you did. Thank you indeed. And the next story is coming from Bengaluru. The killer potholes are back. They reappear in Bengaluru. Over 15,000 complaints have been filed over 8 months. All right, that's the next story. Killer potholes reappear in Bengaluru. 15,000 complaints lodged. You must be thinking that, well, this is a very important story. For God's sake, just because we have dengue every year doesn't mean that we don't cover dengue. It's a menace. This is a perennial problem. And we at News9 have constantly focused on it. We are not going to let go. The killer potholes in the so-called IT hub of the country, Bengaluru. Deputy Chief Minister D.K. Shivakumar, who is also the Minister for Bengaluru Development and Town Planning, had warned Civic Authority, BBMP's officials way back in September, I did that story, that if they do not fix the potholes within a stipulated time, then there would be stringent action and even suspensions. The BBMP got cracking and fixed close to 6,000 potholes. But then it's always been WIP, that is work in progress, insofar as potholes are concerned in Bengaluru. The recent rains brought up the killer potholes yet again, making a mockery out of Shivakumar's brand Bengaluru slogan. There was, of course, also an app which was introduced for people to register their complaints with precise location, size of the potholes, but that also came a cropper. Nothing happened. It was all a show. In the latest, between 1st April and 2nd December this year, 2024, the BBMP apparently received 15,403 complaints from Bengalurians about potholes, and of those, a BBMP rejected 4,810. You say, acha, rejected, which means they must have been solved. No. Before you feel all elated and happy that the BBMP is at least taking cognizance, hold your horses, because according to the BBMP, the rejections were based on the premise that most of these complaints were repeats. According to an official of the BBMP, and I am quoting him, many residents report the same pothole multiple times in an attempt to expedite the resolution process. These are redundant entries and could result in genuine issues being overlooked. They could be false complaints or have provided wrong location. Even if we do fix potholes during road repair works, they would again chip off and residents would be furious at us. Did you, ladies and gentlemen, notice that they say that despite repair works, people lodged complaints because the potholes appeared? Okay? And whose fault is it then? The people who complain and are accused of repeat complaints. The BBMP also threw up another piece of data, and that is their claim that 54% of the 15,403 complaints, and that being 8,340, have been resolved. 690 are in the process of being fixed, and 1,266 are still open. Seems like a very good record to listen, no? But it is not. As BBMP says, there are repeat complaints, damaged roads, despite repairs, and of course a nightmare insofar as meandering through Bengaluru roads are concerned. And don't forget the deaths which occurred due to those killer craters. Joining me, Sandeep Aniruddhan, convener, Citizens Agenda for Bengaluru. Also, Satya Prakash, spokesperson for the KPCC, continues with us from the first debate. A very warm welcome to both of you, Sandeep, and welcome yet again, Satyaji. What is this, Satya Prakash? How does one live in Bengaluru, sir? Look at the BBMP. They say we are going to reject all these complaints because these are repeat complaints. Then they say we resolve certain complaints and still those roads get bad. What can we do? Not good. Not good.
Sudha, The early monsoon and the late monsoon both have been very harsh on Bangalore this year.
Sure.
If you look at the amount of rainfall that we have got, early monsoon also was very harsh on us. The late monsoon also, you're seeing as late as December also there are heavy rains. You saw yesterday, today also there are rains across Bangalore. And the next 10-15 days also because of that, whatever hurricane or something in Tamil Nadu, which has hit, it's taking a toll on it. But that's not an excuse. Today, if you see, today or yesterday, I saw the Chief Secretary herself, Shalini Rajneesh, has gone and sat in the BBMP along with those officials to see, what is this all about, and see how fast we can knock this off. Wherever that we have rejected, and if they are real, I urge upon BJP that they have to BBMP to take it up. Because citizens, why will I go and lie that there is a pothole beside my house? You tell me, unless there is a pothole, unless some one or two mischief makers are keeping on doing it. I think we need to have a relook at it. Every ward, in fact, 198 or 200 wards in Bangalore also, there are people who take garbage on a daily basis. If they ask them, they will be able to tell how many potholes are there in their area. What BBMP can do is all
I
those
think,
who are collecting
yeah,
garbage.
I understand, Satya, but I think your DK Shivakumar really has not really succeeded. All his thing about I will suspend you in September, then saying there is an app, then saying I've been to Delhi, all the roads in Delhi are also very bad, so why are you only complaining about Bengaluru? Then he goes and talks about brand Bengaluru. There is something fundamentally wrong and DK Shivakumar is not able to fix it, Satya Prakash. We need, like you say, go ahead.
Sudha, earlier what used to happen, Sudha, there used to be a 2 months gap, 2 months gap between the early monsoon and the late monsoon which happened. That means during the month of October and November, we never used to have rains. But this time we didn't get that window at all. During rains, even if I go and repair that road, it will come out. Because it will be very, very wet. Unless and until you do cementing, if you put the normal one, it is not going to have more effect. So the weather has been little harsh on Bangalore. I know there are potholes. I am not giving any reason for it.
But then we have to be prepared. We have to be prepared. We live in the times of climate change. MK Stalin today has said, what can I do? Fengel happened, the cyclone happened because of climate change. You guys need to be better prepared. Sandeep Aniruddhan, do you agree with what spokesperson for the Congress says? That is, what can we do? We did not even get the window. But Sandeep, you and I have been doing this story for 2 years now. Every year, twice. Is this the same story? Look at the BBMP statements. It says, I am rejecting your complaint. Sandeep Aniruddhan keeps complaining. Then when Sudha Sadanand complains, they say, but madam, we came there, what can we do if the road is repaired once again? Is it my fault? Is it your fault? Can they just stand up and get their act together is my question to them, Sandeep.
Sudha, let's get to the underlying issues. If rain is a problem, then let's visit those countries which have perennial rain. Let's go to neighboring countries like Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia. It rains throughout the year and it rains heavily. Are the roads bad over there? These are third world countries, mind you, except for Singapore. The roads are in great condition throughout the year and it rains throughout the year. Rain is not the problem. It is how the roads are laid that is the problem. Our engineers don't understand basic engineering. The roads don't have proper slope. It doesn't have proper gradient. That is the reason we have potholes, because the water doesn't drain away. Who is going to teach our engineers how to build proper road? And it doesn't require, it's not rocket science, it's basic engineering. It's about proper subsurface, proper slope, so that just look at the visuals on your screen. All those roads, water is just accumulating in the middle of the road because there is no slope, there is no drainage. That is the main reason why potholes happen. Who is going to teach after so many years of running a corporation? If our engineers don't even know how to, one of the few functions that are left with BBMP is laying of a road. If they can't do that also, let us dismiss this entire organization. No, they don't do anything else useful in the city.
I agree. They don't do anything. They give excuses all the time. Sandeep is so right. How do you blame rain? Tomorrow you will blame the tree. Then you will say too much air. That's why this is happening. Come on, let's get our act. This is all lame excuses. Satya Prakash, look at this. The BBMP says, I mean, what is this? Why should they could be false complaints or provide wrong location? They have no work. These are redundant entries. BBMP elections have not happened, Satya. They are just happily just doing whatever they are told. If they are told to dig, they will dig. Then they will not come for thing. Why is it that someone can say, okay, BBMP, we don't need you, just get out? Because it doesn't seem to be effective at all. And look at brand Bengaluru. People are so scared to start businesses there now. They are saying let's shift to Telangana and other places because of the bad infrastructure. Look at the screen, Satya. Look at the screen. There is no place where in Bangalore there are, look at that. There are deaths which happen there. So why blame the rain? Satya, you got to think out of the box, your government, and think about something which is more kind of, you know, fruitful.
See, like my friend said, if giving the gradient to the road is all that will solve this problem, I think the BBMP and its engineers should take his help. If someone is coming forward and going to give us a solution, I think shamelessly the BJP should take Mr. Sandeep's help and see that, you know, this doesn't happen. If giving gradient to the roads alone will solve the problem. What is gradient? It's any basic engineer will understand that. The water should not be stagnant. And you are seeing that water is stagnant. I don't think it is because of the gradient. It is because of the potholes is my feeling. But giving gradient across, is it sustainable, Sandeep? In a city like Bangalore, can we give gradient across? There are so many other issues also, no? Sandeep, is gradient the only problem? Or the quality of roads that we lay is the problem? What is the problem that you feel? And I have a strong feeling, Sudha, and I will agree that if Sandeep has a solution to it, the BBMP should put all its ego aside, sit with Mr. Sandeep and find a way about it.
Yeah, but the problem, Satya, is that the BBMP, I've been doing this story for 2 years. The BBMP does not want to involve the stakeholders. It is like mafia. Why would I allow you to come in when I know I'm a bunch of inefficient people? Why do I want to allow Satya to come who will say, Sudha, what you're doing is very wrong. I will never like you. And the BBMP comes under the government. Sandeep, would you like to take Satya's question, please?
Sure, I'd be very happy to sit with the engineers and guide them. This is not rocket science, it is IRC guideline, Indian Road Congress. If you look at the specs, it has to have proper gradient, it has to have a slope, it has to have a drainage. If you look at any road in Bengaluru, it lacks this. Even the visuals on the screen show it. Look at that. Can you see a gradient? You can't. Are there drainages on the side? No. So water is accumulating everywhere. It weakens the road surface and the surface. It leads to permanent potholes. And when you fix the potholes, what happens? They do a superficial fixing. The next rain, it washes away because water is again seeping into the same spot. It's recreating the same pothole. That is why after every fixing, at the next first rain, there is a pothole again. This is a recurring problem. Now, why does the BBMP allow this? Because it can keep issuing orders again and again for fixing potholes. So contractors get jobs 3-4 times a year. It helps them. There are a lot of kickbacks. It's the corruption in the system. And I'd like to come in, weigh in on this app also. See, the Sahaya app and all these new apps, every time a government comes in, they'll announce a new app. Every year they'll announce a new app. What does it do? It feeds the same database. Backend is the same. There is no difference. In the front end, they issue a new app. They claim that we have changed the world and all that. But if you know a little about technology, you'll understand that it is just new bottle, same wine. And the problem with the system is the officials close complaint without resolution. Recently,
that is it. That is it. No. This is very important for the viewers. They will close it.
Sandeep, my point is just
without any resolution.
Sudha, my network is bad. That's why I'll ask the question to Sandeep. Sandeep, suppose tomorrow a private organization is given a chance to fill up all these 8,000 or 9,000 potholes. Will they be able to bring that gradient that you are talking of so that our woes of BPMP and Bangalore city will go? I'm asking you. You are.
I'm running out of time. Quick answers, please.
Yeah, quickly I'll give you an answer, sir. In our area, we have ensured that one road, because there was no space for a drain, we asked the engineers only to maintain the gradient. So from one side to the other side, visibly you can see there's a slope. That road is the only road in our entire area in Whitefield which does not have a pothole. We proved
why doesn't BBMP call you? Why the BBMP?
completely run out of time, but Sandeep, you should take up Satya's offer and sit with BBMP and, make it happen. Satya Prakash, take Sandeep Aniruddhan, and News9 will take credit that at least we've done this much for Bengaluru, my beloved city. Thank you both. And meanwhile, my colleague Mohammad Wajiullah has filed this ground report about the real situation insofar as potholes are concerned in Bengaluru. Take a look.
Well, new day in Bengaluru, but the problem remains the same. This is the condition of the potholes in the city, and where we are is the Mission Road, something that is just a kilometer away from the BBMP headquarters, and this is just one patch of this particular road. If my camera person keeps panning the camera, you can see how the entire road is dilapidated. Now, the reason why we're talking about this dilapidated road is because there's been a report that says that close to 15,000 potholes are there in the city, out of which 4,000 of them have been rejected by the BBMP with regards to complaint. Close to 8,000 potholes have been fixed is what the BBMP says. But this particular through where we are showing, this particular road which we are showing is something that has had potholes from quite some time. This is the second time I'm coming on this road to give you a highlight of this particular spot. And 3 months back, before the rains had started, the government had cleared up this particular road, had cleaned it up, but the potholes have back in just 2 months of it being filled. So this clearly gives you an idea of the work that has been done. Now, as you can see, this particular stretch, we've already walked close to 50 meters, and this particular stretch gives you an idea of the depth at which these potholes are. Right now it is sunny, so you are able to see it, but during the night time when it rains, these potholes gather a lot of water gets accumulated here, and it becomes dangerous for vehicles to move around. As you can see how much of a dip a vehicle takes when it's moving around. And this is just not this particular stretch, but this entire road is filled with such potholes all across Bengaluru. Now, the situation that we are talking about is not just something that is happening here in Mission Road, but it is a situation which is there throughout the city when it comes to potholes.
All right, and now let's move to something which is really pleasant. Pushpa 2, which has created history at the box office, recorded a massive opening of 175 crores on day one. What can get better than that? All right, there it is, breaking all rules. Pushpa 2, the rule. It is rewriting box office history, delivering a staggering opening that has captivated audiences across the globe. Here's how the Allu Arjun starrer is dominating the silver screen. Allu Arjun and director Sukumar's highly anticipated sequel, Pushpa 2, The Rule, opened to phenomenal numbers, recording a massive 1.75.1 crores. Maybe it's increased even as we speak. Net on day one in India alone, making it the biggest opener in Indian cinematic history. The Hindi version alone brought in 67 crores total, surpassing Shah Rukh Khan's Jawan, which previously held the record with 64 crores net on day one. The Telugu version contributed an overwhelming 85 crores as well, while Tamil and Malayalam versions earned 7 crores and 5 crores respectively. Globally, the film's gross collections are estimated to have crossed a staggering 200 crores on the opening day, with numbers from overseas markets adding to the total. The film was released on 5th of December across 10,000 screens worldwide, making it one of the widest releases of the year. Special paid premieres on 4th of December raked in an additional 10.1 crore net in Andhra Pradesh, Telangana as well as Bengaluru. Trade analysts have now predicted that Pushpa 2 might have even beaten the day one record of S.S. Rajamouli's RRR, which crossed 223 crores, though official numbers from the production house are still awaited. Talking about Pushpa, of course, directed by Sukumar, the film stars Allu Arjun, Rashmika Mandana, Fahad Fasil, who's apparently really brilliant in the film, and features special appearances by Anusuya Bharadwaj, Jagapati Babu and Sri Leela. All right, so with that, we come to the end of the South Indian, and it's so good when you end with something like Pushpa 2 rule. Thank you so much for watching, and hoping to see you very soon. The only show, the South Indian, on News 9, which brings you all the news from across all the states of South of India. Until next time, ladies and gents, Vanakkam.
Valuations can be frothy. Going public is almost like what some of us would like to say is the holy grail, right? IPOs are a trend, not a bubble.
Do secondary markets exist? Answer is absolutely yes, and it's been around for a very long time.
Valuations could be high or low, and valuation may correct over time, but IPOs are here to stay. It is basically a graduation ceremony of sorts. It is potentially where a startup stops being a startup and starts becoming an enterprise.
The IPO space has just started in the past 24 months. The startup ecosystem has been around for 15 years.
Fundamentally, if you have a strong business and you have predictability of cash flows, and you can actually give with a fair degree of confidence where the business is headed, the market will reward you.
This and more. Streaming on News 9 Plus. Subscribe and get free vouchers.
Has Allu Arjun arrived, or he's just taking off?
If I really want to hit a moonshot, I want the moon.
These are big stories.
It's very unique to Indian cinema.
What would be the relevance of tradition?
I would believe that the first change has to come in the mind.
The beauty is of leadership being able to acknowledge and flex and mold and inspire and get the best out of their people.
Unfortunately, there's no holy grail. There can be an organization that's the darling of the markets, doing well, delivering results.
If Shakespeare had been there, I think probably he would have written another tragic comedy.
The wages, the work conditions of these white-collared workers is far better and much higher than those of blue-collared workers.
Unfortunately, that is what I believe has deteriorated and deteriorated big time.
There could be regional offices, there could be country-specific offices where the atmosphere is very toxic, and this is reality.
On human narrative of how corporate India or any corporate world functions, sadly.
So generally in the beginning, when the white-collar jobs were on the rise, it was felt, especially by the white-collar workers, because they were too self-centered, individualistic, and they did not feel the need to come